Early in my career, what I tried to do was analyze all the reps that were in my same company or that I knew in general, either through my network or people just bump into in the industry. And what I would do is kind of, put down their attributes and compare them to other reps. And I'd also notice the not so great reps and the worst reps. And what I tried to do was find correlations. What characteristics made these people successful? Because sales is hard. And moving from software development and pre-sales into sales, I didn't want to waste time. I wanted to be successful. I was competitive. I was reward and money motivated. I loved the idea of having a variable income. Being able to have control over that excited me. And I really wanted to study other people. I was looking for the shortcuts, the smart cuts, the smarter ways of doing it. That first year in sales, I tried the hustle and grind approach. And even though I was young and healthy, it just wears you out really fast. I don't know if you've ever looked, if you're in the U.S., if you look at the presidents before and after their term, I call it going into the aging microwave. They age probably at twice or three times the rate. And in sales, if you try the hustle and grind approach, it does work in the short term. You do get results, but you very quickly find out that you're a human being, that you're not a computer, that you're not even a piece of machinery. The body starts to break down. The mind starts to get burnt out. And there's a lot of talk about that today within the business community. So smarter is the way to do it. And that's what I'm trying to do with the podcast, is give you the shortcuts. I hate to use the word hacks, but the smarter way of doing it. Because when you're learning a performance, modeling yourself after the best is the smartest way. And I think too many of us, we think the best are the people that are yelling the loudest or talking down to us. But that's not the best. The best are the people out there doing it, showing you the distinctions, articulating to you what has worked for them so that you can benefit from them. Because a genius is someone who learns from others' mistakes. Too many of us, we have to make them not only once, but multiple times before we prevent them, before we work it into our process not to do that. Let's get into this interview. I got a great rep today, came super highly recommended. It took a lot of time to get him to get on the calendar, but he's super busy. I'll sum it up at the end. Make sure you're checking out our friends at CoVideo. Video email is one of those smarter ways of doing things today. We can convey so much more through video. It shows not only effort, but who we are. And you can get tonality, you get the voice, the sound, facial expressions, enthusiasm, sincerity comes through on video. About over a year and a half, I decided to start videotaping the podcast and putting them up on YouTube. They become really popular. So if you like to watch the conversation, you check it out there. I put all the funny videos that I do on LinkedIn also up on YouTube. Just search Brian Burns Sales on YouTube. You'll find them pretty simple. Here we go with the interview. I'll sum it up at the end. If you're in the courses already, please make sure you're checking out the one-on-ones. What's coming through right now is the enthusiasm of the success. It does take a little bit of time. It's a skill. It takes a little while for it to develop. It's a mindset shift too, because what works isn't what used to work. What works today is different, and it evolves. Some of the principles have been around forever because we're humans. We've been around for a while. But how we do it and at what pace and doing it the way the other person wants to do it. That's the key. So listen to them, even if you just listen to I usually say listen to the last half of them. This week, I want you to listen to the first half, because what you hear is somebody in the course who kind of wasn't sure about the approach, didn't think it fit, tried it, is crushing it now. So there's nothing better than hearing that. I'm going to make a little tape of all the feedback that I'm getting in the one-on-one, and just anonymously, so that people can protect their name and their company and everything, so that you can hear that enthusiasm. Because when you get things to work in sales, that's when it becomes fun. You get your groove, you get into the flow state. Here we go. Hey, Connor, welcome to the show. As a way of getting started, give us a little background on yourself.
Absolutely. So, Brian, thank you for having me. I actually work for Cintas Corporation. I'm a global account manager for them. I work with some of the largest companies, Google, Facebook, Amazon, the fun ones, right, out in the West. I've had the luxury of working with Cintas for about 15 years. Born and raised in India, came to school at University of Evansville. I graduated from there and started working with Cintas right out of college.
Didn't want to leave, huh?
Did not want to leave, just worked my way up. Started as a sales associate. Still remember those days. Long hours, a lot of grind work. Cintas, has a culture of coaching us to learn everything, do the right thing, and just built the empire, right?
Yeah.
Chose to be successful. And that's basically, in a nutshell, I have a wife and three dogs. They are my family. And basically, that's what I do.
Cool. And so you got a marketing degree. Why sales?
Sales, actually, I came to University of Evansville to do computer science.
Okay.
I just don't think I could do the binary very well, the ones and zeros. I'm more of the 1, 2, 3, 4s, not the ones and zeros. I like to diversify the mind, and had a marketing professor, Dr. Sherman, pulled me into marketing, sold me on it, for lack of a better term. And the biggest thing was I just enjoyed it. It was the human interaction, the constant communication, the differences in how we, everything changes every day. And with computer science, it was kind of like the same thing, redundancies,
Yeah.
And sales was a unique environment to allow me to flourish with human interaction, communication skills, and it just was enjoyable.
And what was it first like in sales?
Interesting. So I started my sales journey with the Indiana Pacers while I was in college, and did an internship selling tickets for them as part of an internship. And Indianapolis is about 3 hours north. Sold tickets, did really well, set a record for sales, and got picked up by the Pacers. Interviewed with Cintas last day. Literally, I had my little Honda Civic packed up, ready to go. Interviewed with Cintas, and the culture just sold me. It was a phenomenal opportunity. Stayed with Cintas over the Pacers. Most people will judge me for that, so I'm sorry to all the Pacers fans out there. But the culture drew me, and it was just one of those things that worked out well in my favor. And it's been a great journey.
What you like about the culture?
I think it's a very down-to-earth culture. It's more humble, hungry, honest, right? We want to do what's right for the customer, firm believers in do the right things, the results will come. As you've seen with our stock price, ever since I started with Cintas, we've grown incrementally and we've done phenomenally well simply because we've done the right things. We believe in taking care of our internal partners. We don't even call them employees, they're partners. And then taking care of our customers. And are there challenges? Absolutely. But the culture is positive discontent, be better, choose to do the right thing no matter what, and be honest. You make a mistake, take ownership. And that was something that really drew me close to Cintas.
Yeah. And were you a natural salesperson, or was there some adjustment?
My mom is. So I would tell you the genes came from there. My dad's more analytical and data centric. My mom's a talker. So she will negotiate over tomatoes if she could, right? So I love the art of negotiation, love the idea of selling. And I think I'm a unique blend is the way I would tell you. I love data. I love processes, which is unique for salespeople. And I love sales. I love the human interaction. So I would tell you that I wasn't natural, but I think over time, my style evolved and I was able to find the right ways to, work my way into it.
And what were some of the epiphanies that you had through your career where the lights went on and you started to get it and you started to have success and momentum?
I would tell you the entire journey, I've learned so much. Every day you learn something new. Communication. First at Cintas, I'll tell you where success really became necessary for me was when I started to learn that you don't sell a product, you don't sell the service, you sell a value proposition. And I think that was one of the biggest epiphanies that drove me to realize that I think a lot of salespeople miss where they sell products or services. But really, what the person is buying is a solution, and they're buying a value proposition because I'm a firm believer, value lies in the eye of the beholder. And everybody, you may pay X dollars for something, but I may pay X plus two because it means that much more to me. And that was one of the things that really stuck with me, I would say, over time. And that was one part of it early on in my career. Over time, as you evolve into more complex sales and larger sales, working with some of these mega billion-dollar companies, you just realize that there's more to value proposition because their value may not just be in the product service that you offer. Because a company like Amazon could start up their own company, right? However, they utilize Cintas because of our value proposition, our people. And our value truly is our people. That's one of the biggest things that I live with is that our people hold more value to anybody in a company like Cintas or any other corporation that is our size. I assure you, if they put value in the people and train the people, that is the key to success in my world. And I sell my people, not even the value proposition anymore. And that is something that has also, pushed me over the edge a little bit with sales.
And is that why you were attracted to the larger enterprise deals versus going into leadership?
Absolutely. I love the complexity of the sale. I love the process mapping of the sale. I do feel that what differentiates me from a lot of other sales folks is the downstream impact. I do calculate downstream impacts of actions we take now. A lot of times, as you've done podcasts, you've probably realized over time as you coach people, some salespeople get stuck in the now. They make the decision for the greater good in the moment. We don't calculate the risks and the factors and the downstream impacts that could be negative by the actions we take today.
Right.
And that is something that I would tell you has really resonated with me. And then when I coach folks, I love coaching. And one of those things that I talk to people about is don't work in the now, work in the future, because that is where the solutions lie, and you avoid downstream impacts. Calculate the pitfalls.
Yeah. People aren't good at that, are they?
They aren't, and I think they miss the boat a little bit on that. As I talk to a lot of salespeople, as you'll realize that it's one of those things that you don't think about because you're so focused on the sale in front of you that what you've missed is the value proposition down the road, because eventually you will hit a roadblock. You will hit that pitfall. You will hit that hole in the road. Make sure that you calculate the risk around it and try to fill it up before you get there. You map out your journey when you go from here to Florida. Why don't you map out your sales process all the way through to the end so you can take the customer across the line?
That's it. Because you hear all these people talking about objection handling. It's like most of them are because you're moving too fast.
Yes.
You don't hear, oh, it's too expensive unless they know the price.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
We don't have time to do it until you've asked for something.
Absolutely. And you correct me if I'm wrong, but objections, we hear them, but we don't soak them in. And sometimes we are trying to move so quickly that the objection is just words coming in. We have a preemptive response planned for the customer because we're so used to hearing it. Like, don't even finish your sentence, Brian. I got you. I'm going to tell you what I can do to overcome that objection. I know what it is, but we don't ever dive deeper into the objection, the sublayers.
Right, because it should be a topic for discussion, not something to handle.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. There's questions to objections that sometimes solve the objection itself.
Yeah.
And it may not even be a realistic objection. It may just be something the customer's thinking of.
And I think a lot of people, even though they're in the complex sale, business to business, multiple decision makers, large dollar amount, multiple meetings,
Yes,
they treat it like the simple transactional sale.
100%.
And
Well said.
yeah, and it doesn't work because you just get a delay, get back to us in 6 months, whatever. Right. But you're not leading somebody through the process.
100%. It is not transformational, neither for the business nor for the individual sitting across the table for you. And it is not transformational for yourself because you have not done much for them. You have not changed anything. You have simply provided a base solution that they could really buy anywhere. So
you're selling an aspirin instead of an operation.
100%. Right. Absolutely.
But most of them need an operation.
You could not have said it better. And it's funny you say that because I work with Cintas in the first aid and safety division. And that's what we sell, right? Is medical, automatic external defibrillators is what I specialize in. So my position with Cintas is I specialize in training and compliance programs and automatic external defibrillators. They can buy the defibrillators anywhere. They can buy them online. They can buy them on Amazon, right? The reason they chose Cintas is because of the fact that we have that human element attached to it.
Yeah.
And that's the key. You're absolutely right. It's transactional, not transformational.
And humans, being mammals, are not designed to think beyond the moment. We're circadian creatures, right?
Yes.
We get up, we eat, we hunt, we go to sleep. We start all over again.
Yes.
To get somebody to think about tomorrow is a talent.
It is. It is. Absolutely. To give them that future vision.
Future vision, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
And that's why so few people save for their retirement, right? Because it's like, $1 today, even though it's $25 40 years from now, it's $1 today. Might
as well spend it, right?
You gotta have fun.
Hence the tax refunds coming in. It's like, hey, I can't wait for that to come in because I'm going to go out and spend it. I've actually, you know what? Just kidding. I've already spent it. I've got 2 TVs coming in, a new dog, and a kitten, right? And I've got everything planned for me.
But and you probably discovered as you move up the org within the customer base, they're thinking more long term.
Yes, you have to, because of the companies that you work with, because they ask those questions. Procurement specialists are trained to ask downstream impact questions. Yeah. They understand that we are choosing a vendor for a long-term partnership, not for a short-term gain. But yet we continue to focus so heavily on short-term gain. And that's where the difference lies between a good salesperson and a great salesperson.
Yeah. And I've had this discussion with N number of CEOs when they want to, whether they're deciding to have a field organization or an enterprise team versus a transactional inside team.
Yes.
And I go, well, let's talk about some market segments and why did they win? They had the worst product.
Yes.
They didn't have the best product, but they won the category because the category required long-term executive decisions that required human-to-human interaction.
Yes.
It wasn't just going to the web page and ordering 10 or 1,000 or whatever.
100%. And, I'll tell you, Amazon has changed the way we think, right? In the past, I think, the product line was, I wanted to feel the product to complete the sale. I had to touch it. I had to walk out with the sale to purchase, like to get that, chemical to release in my brain saying I bought it, right? I had to hold it. Now with Amazon, the buy now button completes that feeling for you. And I think that has changed. So if you are a good company and a good salesperson that wants to go out and sell, you can sell by creating a web platform. But if you're a great salesperson and a great company, I think you have to sell a futuristic approach of the human element matters more than the buy now click.
Yes.
Because anyone can buy anything anywhere.
Right. Because I always say the second best thing Steve Jobs did was the Apple stores.
Yes.
It became the mecca for the product, to showcase the product. People could come in, and it was like, I always called it like visiting the future.
Yes.
You can
And
pick
you're
it up,
excited.
you're excited,
Yeah.
and you can connect with the product.
Yes. And that's the one thing I love about Apple stores. Even when you walk in there, the white and just everything is so clean, and the crowds and the way things flow, there's no real flow to it. If you think about an Apple store, it's kind of like, oh, I'm just looking around. And in looking around, you get so excited that you want to buy. And that's what I love about Apples. I get excited just to go to one, let alone buy something from there.
It's an event.
Yes.
And you never feel that going to a Verizon store where you get 100 different phones and you're like, it's about
And
price.
absolutely. Absolutely. It is all about price. Yes.
What gave you this epiphany? Was it something that was grained into you, or was it something that you just kind of discovered? Or
It was just something for me that I'll tell you, just working with people, working with folks across different realms in purchasing and realms in operations, everybody had a different need. And as you go into complexity of sales, you'll sit in front of six people, and six people, every single person has their own buying motives. So in order to communicate with them effectively, there has to be that common denominator. There's that vision that you have to paint for six before you bifurcate into each and every single one. So as you mentioned, the human element remains the same. So if you cater to the mind of every human being and how they function, I felt that it was simpler to make the sale and complete the sale rather than to cater purchasing, procurement folks, operations. Everybody has a different buying motive. I can't identify all unless I'm really, really good. So why not paint the picture holistically, bring them together, and let them talk it through?
So it sounds like, both your dad's background and your experience with computer science, which was my background as well, which
maybe that's what it takes.
Yeah, it requires you to design before you
Yes.
do.
Yes, absolutely. You got to think of where's that comma or semicolon going to play in, and what the impact it's going to have on the programming, right?
Yeah. And when you're reading and writing code, you're thinking about how's it going, how's it going to be compiled, and how's it going to, and then trying to debug,
That's a whole different story. That's a whole different story. I've seen programmers work and they're sitting there and literally moving colons from place spot to spot. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're reading the entire code to figure out where that semicolon went wrong. Yeah. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
And I think it's actually good exercise for sales because it forces you to think outside of just this one thing and have a bigger vantage point.
Yes.
And when you look at a deal, do you look at it from start to finish and kind of future pace it?
Absolutely. One of the things that I try to do when I'm looking at a sale, to me, it's not what they're buying, it's how they're buying. That's more critical to me. And then if I can answer the question for them, why are they buying this? What is the purpose behind this interaction? Because there are times a customer will tell you everything's great, right? Salespeople go in and they ask these questions, right? We always say, ask questions, and I'm a firm believer, if you ask good questions, you get good answers, So one of the things I've always lived by is verbiage with a purpose. If you're going to use words, use them with a purpose. If you're going to use them, make sure they're effective, right? Yeah. Don't just say a word and just ask a question. One thing I've always hated is when a salesperson walks in and goes, I hopefully look for business from you. Like, what does that even mean? Do you lack skill, which is why you're hoping for hope? Because that is absolutely counterproductive to your skill set. Yeah. And I think when I look at a sale, I have already calculated why the person is buying by asking questions. Once I understand that, the sale is easy. Yeah. Because there is an inherent purpose behind their purchase. And if I can solve that purpose and fulfill that need or want, whatever it may be, it could be a luxury item, right? There are people out there that they could buy a car to get from point A to B, but then they also choose to buy the highest level of car to get from point A to point B. So everyone has a different level of want versus need. And I want to focus in on the totality of the sale and the solution, not just the sale itself. Yeah. So you're 100% accurate. I do look at it holistically.
And what other things differentiate you? Because I'm sure you're exposed to a lot of reps.
Yes. I would tell you hard work. I know that sounds weird, right? Because you think that every salesperson wants to work the hardest, right? Even though we coach them, right? I used to be a sales manager and I would always coach people and say, work hard, because if you do the right things, the results will come. And I always told my sales directors and VPs, all I need is somebody with work ethic and heart. You give me a person and a sales partner or a human being with that kind of those kinds of things inherent to them, and I'll make them a great salesperson. Because the idea is heart. You want to sell with passion. You want to be really excited about what you sell and why you sell. And lastly, the hard work is correlational to the results. Direct correlation there.
And have you looked for patterns in their past that?
Yes, I definitely do. And I'm sure people listening to me will probably judge, but I love the idea of somebody that can show me that they have heart. I want to see somebody that comes in and is excited about the opportunity, is thankful, has the true human element, shows kindness, and wants to work hard. They want to be better than they were yesterday. I want them to be wanting to wake up, one of the coaching moments, because I love the motivational speak. I want people to be excited to work with me, for me, whatever the case may be. And when they wake up, I want them to choose to be great. Don't choose to be good, choose to be great. Because if you choose to be great every day and you choose to be better today than you were yesterday, you have won me over. Yeah. Because you are trying to make it in a world where there is so much competition and you want to shine brighter than any other star out there, kind of like the North Star.
And that caring, because that's what I hear when I hear heart, that there's an emotional element that if you lose, you hurt. Yes. And if you win, you feel good.
Yes.
But it's not just selfish, it's holistic, like to the values of the company.
Absolutely. And to the values that you bring forth. Bring integrity, bring honesty. And that is the inherent key in my world. When I'm looking for a sales partner and I'm looking to hire this person into that role, I just want you to be passionate, no matter what it is. You will have the ups, you will have the downs, but just be excited to win and don't deflate yourself. Be disappointed and wonder what you could have done better if you lose.
And what do you look for in their background as evidence other than what they tell you? Because everyone can interview. It's only an hour, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's always a story.
Yes, it's a story. And you can tell me a lot of stories, right? But you got to prove it. Yes, I do look for evidence. I do look for somebody that has consistency. I do hear the story about their background. I do want to know about them as a human being, because a good salesperson does not exist if the human being doesn't exist.
Right.
So I want to see if they're a good person by nature. I want to see what they've done outside of Centos to better themselves, right? Or outside of the work that they do to better themselves. Do they read books? Do they listen to podcasts? What are they doing to make themselves better? Are they going to YouTube University like I do to learn Excel? Because I was not proficient in it, but I wanted to be better at it. Yeah. What are the things that they do to better themselves, both as a human being, a personal and professional level? And that's what tells me and leads me to believe if they truly will make it on my team or won't.
And what drives you as a human being?
So my why would be my parents. I want to make my parents proud. My parents made a lot of sacrifices for me and allowed me to live the life that I live and provided me a future so I could provide other people opportunities in future. And as I move through this, what you would consider ladder of this life, right, that we live in, I want to be able to provide for people. I want to be able to feel that I make an impact. My legacy remains in what I do for others rather than what I do for myself. And go ahead.
And when you hit a wall, you lose a deal, somebody no-shows on you, you get passed over for something. What gets you back up? Is it that why?
It's that why. It's making my parents, my wife proud, because, how would my mom and dad want me to react to a situation that brings a little adversity in our life?
No.
We all deal with it personally and professionally.
Once
Life
in a
is
while.
tough, right? I mean, to look at 2020, it's I don't think we're ever going to get out of the year, right? But if we do finally make it past the year, then we will remember this year. And if we push through it, I feel that we all emerge victorious.
Yeah.
And that is what keeps me going, is that you may have lost this battle, but you will eventually get another chance. Make sure you do everything you can to win that one.
Yeah. And one last question. Is it the love of winning or the hatred of losing that gets you going?
I would tell you it's both. It's both.
But
inherently,
one of them really.
So if you force me to pick one, I would tell you it's the love for winning.
Yeah,
100%. Cool. The excitement, the energy that it brings to the table and allows you to win, right?
Yeah, cool. Hey, I appreciate your time today. Where can people go to connect with you?
Absolutely, LinkedIn. They can look me up on LinkedIn. I'd love to have folks that are successful, that could connect. And if there's ever an opportunity that I can help them with, I'd love to be either a mentor or anyone that can give some guidance. But look forward to it.
How do you like that? When you have that big, important why, that thing that you know why you're getting up in the morning, why you're working hard, why you want to succeed, why you want to win, it tells our subconscious mind, or it really just gives it food, gives it direction. Otherwise, we kind of go off of our subconscious mind, what it wants. And what it wants isn't very sophisticated. It just wants to be safe, well-fed, well-rested. But that's not really what human beings really need and end up wanting long-term. Long-term, we want to make the people in our lives happy, safe, successful, proud. And those things take time. It has to be consistent. It goes beyond the circadian rhythm of the day. And this is really what I teach in Winning the Complex Sale, is getting all of these skills, these processes out of your head so that you can analyze them, so that you can think them through, to understand that you're playing a game whether you know it or not. And wouldn't it be better to know it versus reacting to it? A lot of us just react to it. We're kind of in a no man's land, and we're going step by step, but then we find out that we were kind of walked right into a trap. And the traps are natural. They're not exceptional. They're pretty much everywhere. And I talk to a lot of reps, a lot of experts, a lot of managers. And a lot of them don't know the game they're playing. They have great platitudes, great work ethics, good skills. But in the complex sale, it's strategy that wins. It's not the most gregarious person. Have you noticed that with these salespeople? And I try and only have B2B salespeople, because in B2C, in the short, simpler sales, single sales call sales, single decision maker sale is very different. And we're typically taught skills for that sale, and they work in that sale. But once you move to the larger complex sale, the game's completely different. Those skills are still helpful. And people think it's just a sequence of simple sales. I think that's an oversimplification for it. A company doesn't want to spend their money. And you're talking to people who aren't spending their own money. But everybody wants their job to be better. Everybody wants their company to automate, to digitally transform. But they don't know how. They're scared they'll make the wrong decision, because these decisions are expensive. They're politically risky, career risky. And how you maneuver around that is very different than a simple sale. And, I had the luck of one of my first jobs working with great reps. And there was a chasm there between that job and several jobs later before I met other good people. Not that the other people were bad. They were just different. They came from a different world. And it's the same as like a startup and a big company. If you're at a big company and you have a brand name, you have customers, you can upsell customers. And people, when they hear the brand name, they already have an impression of what the company does and what they're about. That's what branding's about. But when you're at a startup, you don't have that. You have you and what you do, and it's a lot different. The complex sale is very different, and that's what you hear when you listen to the office hours, when people start to resonate, because when I start to hear them use the words of the simple sale, you know they're going to fall into the trap. What are the traps? You have a great meeting, and then all of a sudden it goes quiet, ghosting. Why? Enthusiasm's lost. How do you prevent it? How do you work around that? All of a sudden, everyone likes it, and then they decide to wait. Has that ever happened? Yep, it happens more often than it does to buy. Upselling is one thing, but if you're selling into new businesses with a large dollar amount, multiple decision makers, multiple meetings, that's a complex sale. And you have to have a process. You have to have a strategy, because you know what's going to happen. Oh, just don't talk to me. I'm the decision maker. And how much budget can they approve? 0. And if you don't think ahead of this, if you don't have a plan, a process, what ends up happening is nothing unless you happen to get lucky. I hate to say it, but it really is luck if you don't know what you're doing. And it's scary today what I see companies doing. They're trying to reduce commission expense at the cost of revenue by getting inexperienced people to pound the phones and email, get meetings, and rush the sales process. But they're not getting into how companies buy. So they might get little deals, and that's why they get little deals. If you want to get bigger deals, over $100K, over $1 million, that is an unnatural act for the company to do. And you have to have certain things in place for that to happen and to keep the deal moving. Because 3 things typically happen: do nothing, start over, or buy as little as possible. Now, only one of those has any commission in it, and not much. If they start or buy as little as possible, you're probably better off just doing the little deal up front and trying to get the bigger deal a year from now, if you have it in your territory. Or you could learn how to win the complex sale. Go to b2brevenue.com, check it out. You can schedule a 15-minute call with me. I also did a video on YouTube about the courses where I answer pretty much every question that typically happens in the 15-minute call. And get serious about it. It's your career. Why waste time? Let's say you put this off another year. It's going to cost you $50,000, $100,000, $200,000. Oh, now you're making sense, Brian. Boom. Hey, if you like the podcast, tell a friend. That's the best thing you can do for me. The second best thing you can do is like, comment, and share my content on LinkedIn. That helps promote the show, which feeds me and motivates me and puts a smile on my face. We'll see you next time.